In the twilight of an era, under the shadow of Mount Shiroyama, a man stood resolute, his eyes fixed on the horizon. Saigo Takamori, once a revered leader in the Meiji government, now faced the might of the very empire he helped forge. The year was 1877, and the air was thick with the scent of impending doom. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the land, Saigo knew this would be his final stand. The samurai, the proud warriors of old Japan, were about to clash with the modern army of the Meiji government in a battle that would echo through history as the end of an era. Saigo Takamori was born in 1828 in Kagoshima, the heart of the Satsuma domain. From humble beginnings as a low-ranking samurai, he rose to prominence during the Boshin War, playing a pivotal role in the overthrow of the Tokugawa shogunate and the establishment of the Meiji government. However, his vision for Japan clashed with the rapid modernization and westernization pursued by the new regime. In 1873, a heated debate known as the Seikenran erupted within the government. Saigo advocated for a military campaign against Korea, not just for territorial gain, but to provide employment for the samurai class, which was struggling to adapt to the new order. When his proposal was rejected, Saigo resigned and returned to Kagoshima, where he founded a military academy to train the unemployed samurai. The tension between the traditional samurai values and the Meiji government's policies reached a boiling point in January 1877. A government delegation sent to investigate the military academy was detained and tortured, accused of plotting to assassinate Saigo. This incident sparked the Satsuma Rebellion as Saigo and his followers took up arms against the government. Saigo's forces, numbering around 20,000 at the rebellion's outset, marched towards Tokyo, intent on confronting the government. Their first major engagement was the siege of Kumamoto Castle, a stronghold of the Imperial Army. Despite their initial success, the siege failed as reinforcements arrived, forcing Saigo's army to retreat. The rebels then entrenched themselves at Tabaruzaka, where they faced 90,000 imperial troops, led by General Yamagata Aritomo. The battle lasted 8 days, with Saigo attempting to negotiate a peaceful resolution. However, his pleas were ignored, and the Imperial Army continued its relentless advance. As the rebellion progressed, Saigo's forces dwindled due to casualties and defections. By the time they reached Miyazaki, they were reduced to a mere 3,000 men, many of whom were left with only their traditional melee weapons. The Imperial Army, equipped with modern firearms, gradually encircled them, driving them back to the slopes of Mount Enodake. In early September 1877, Saigo and his remaining samurai retreated to Mount Shiroyama, overlooking Kagoshima. They were now vastly outnumbered, facing 34,000 Imperial troops, including cavalry and 5 warships of the Imperial Navy. The samurai, aware of their dire situation, fortified their position with ramparts, walls, trenches, and dams. The Imperial Army, under the command of General Yamagata and Admiral Kawamura Sumiyoshi, surrounded Shiroyama with fortifications to prevent any escape. The rebels, running low on ammunition, resorted to melting metal statues from nearby temples to create makeshift bullets. The tension was palpable as both sides prepared for the inevitable clash. On the night of September 23rd, the Imperial forces launched a relentless bombardment, raining over 7,000 shells on the samurai's position. The rebels, led by Saigo, endured the onslaught, knowing that dawn would bring the final confrontation. As the first light of dawn broke on September 24th, 1877, the Imperial Army launched a frontal assault on Shiroyama. Saigo, realizing the futility of their situation, ordered his men to drop their rifles and charge the enemy with their katanas. The samurai, embodying the spirit of their ancestors, let out fierce battle cries as they ran towards the Imperial lines. The charge was a sight to behold, as the samurai, with their traditional weapons, clashed with the modern army. The imperial soldiers, trained for modern warfare, were initially bewildered by the samurai's melee tactics. The front lines faltered, but the sheer numerical superiority of the Imperial Army soon overwhelmed the rebels. During the charge, Saigo was wounded in the femoral artery and abdomen. According to legend, he was carried to a quiet spot by his aide, Beppu Shinsuke, where he committed seppuku, the ritual suicide of the samurai. Beppu, acting as Saigo's kaishakunin, beheaded him to spare him further suffering. However, a lock of Saigo's hair revealed the location of his head, which was later recovered by the Imperial Army. With Saigo dead, Beppu took command of the remaining samurai. Despite his own injuries, he led a final charge downhill, only to be cut down by the Imperial Army's Gatling guns. The last of the samurai, numbering around 40, met their end in a blaze of glory, their swords flashing in the morning light. The Satsuma Rebellion was over, and with it, the samurai class as a political and military force in Japan. The conflict had resulted in severe human and financial losses, forcing the government to abandon the gold standard and print paper money. However, it also solidified the Meiji government's resolve to modernize and westernize Japan, paving the way for the country's emergence as a global power. The Battle of Shiroyama marked the end of the samurai era, but the legacy of Saigo Takamori and his followers lived on. In 1889, Saigo was posthumously pardoned, and his statue was erected in Tokyo's Ueno Park in 1898. He remains a symbol of samurai honor and resistance, a tragic hero who fought to preserve the traditions of old Japan in the face of inevitable change. If you found this story of courage and sacrifice compelling, please show your support by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Your engagement helps us bring more historical tales to life, honoring the past and inspiring the future.